This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. While MeUndies can't totally help your love life this Valentine's Day, they can offer you insanely comfy undies and loungewear to buy or gift. MeUndies has so many awesome Valentine's Day prints and styles. Plus, you can match with your partner, friends, or even your pets. This Valentine's Day, give the gift that'll keep them thinking of you and score huge site-wide savings at MeUndies.com/Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify. MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in.
From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
Welcome back, folks. We're going to talk some politics, too, with the best of the best. Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief at National Review Magazine, and David Webb, Fox News contributor, and the David Webb Show on Sirius XM talk show, radio. Both old friends and great contributors. Let's see. Rich Lowry, start with you. I want to get to your column in a minute, today's New York Post. Great column. I love it. They're yelling racism about getting rid of these criminals. But headline coming out, FBI agents involved in Trump cases escorted out of offices on Friday night purge. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. And, you know, I'm going to go hand in hand with that. The very fine showing, I thought, of Kash Patel in his confirmation hearings to be FBI director. Kash, an old friend of mine, frequent guest on this show, frequent guest on the TV show, brilliant guy. So here we go. We're going to clean up the FBI. I want you fellas to ruminate about this for me. Rich Lowry, clean up the FBI. I want the old G-men, like the TV shows that I grew up with in the 1950s.
Yeah, go after the gangbangers. That would be a good idea. I have to say, Kash is he's a very winsome guy and very appealing on TV. I don't think it's going to be any problem getting him confirmed. And we're going to continually hear this caterwauling about the fact that President Trump, as the chief executive, wants to run the executive branch, right? These people,
right.
They all work for him, right? The left tries to portray it. The inspector generals have some independent status. The Department of Justice has some independent status. Now, you don't want the DOJ to be just a pure political tool, obviously, but they all work for the president. And a lot of people just can't get their head around that.
I just follow up on this before we bring David in. But, Rich, I still, go back a couple of years. What was it? It was 2022 when they hit Mar-a-Lago. I think, was it summer of 2022? I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this was such a transparent attempt to throw Trump in jail and to weaponize him and to demonize him. And the FBI, with the dawn raid, no prior warning, just went ahead and did this. And I think to some extent, it backfired on Trump. And in many ways, these were not legal questions, although ultimately I suppose they were. The whole case was dropped, Judge Eileen Cannon. These were political issues.
They're political cases, yeah. And they went away when the politics shifted and Trump won, right? Because they were ultimately political cases. And anyone who had any understanding of the right knew instantly, when word of that raid first came down, this is going to help Trump. Right, this is going to help him get the nomination. Now, I think he probably wins the nomination regardless of the lawfare. But there's no doubt that it helped him. It created an image of strength and defiance, the mug shot and all the rest of it that was supposed to embarrass him, that he, in his true inimitable style, turned around on them. And look, I'm not a fan of retribution, but if all retribution means is getting rid of the people who did this, I'm all in favor.
That's the thing, David Webb. Rich Lowry is a man of peace. I can attest to that. No question about it. But you got to get rid of the bad apples in the FBI, in the Justice Department, and elsewhere. I think John Ratcliffe's going to have a few in the CIA. But point is, you got to clean house for the bad apples. That's what they're doing. That includes Jack Smith and all of his colleagues or henchmen, whatever term you want to use, David Webb. This is what's got to happen, and I believe, sub rosa or not, this is what the voting public wants.
Yeah, look, every time I hear the left, the media start with retribution, revenge, I do what I'm asking most people to do, or everyone to do, ignore them. There is a difference between going after enemies and whether you want to call it retribution, I think it's, let's call it fixing the problem. When you go in and clean up the FBI so it can get back to what it states on its own page, which is they're there to protect the American people and uphold the Constitution of the United States. And in order to do that, and I'm glad Republicans are finally doing this, Republicans tend to, come into power and, okay, we're going to forgive and forget and everybody stay where they are and we expect you to do your jobs. The fact is, if you're going to get them back on track, you've got to clean out the people who took the FBI deliberately off track, who abused the FISA warrants, who spied on reporters over the years, not just related to Trump. Remember James Rosen and others, who went after my friend Carter Page, who went after so many people when they knew it was a lie and a debunked lie. If you don't clean them out, they're just embedded and they wait in this cesspool, and then they rise to the top again like scum on top of a bad swamp. And this is a problem. So, yes, cleaning them out, firing the bad actors or those who stick around and don't do anything about the bad actors is the first thing you would do in any corporation, in any agency, in any bureau. And this is necessary because the FBI has a monumental job crossing the lines of domestic security, international security, and more.
Rich Lowry, this is, the Trump revolution, the Trump transformation, going after the D.C. swamp. I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, this is what he's doing. All these cleanups and for the different people he's put in. We'll talk about the nominations in a second. But this is what he wants. And I think, again, the election results and his polling now, which is, I think he's in the low to mid-50s. He's never been that high in his career.
Best he's ever been. Yeah,
best he's ever been. I think you said that on the TV show. I mean, this is what voters want. This is what he wants. This is the deal. We're going to transform America back to being America. Yeah.
Now dealing with the federal behemoth is a monumental task, right? So we're 2 weeks in. There's a ton of work still to be done, and it has to be sustained. And it's got to, there's going to be litigation over and all the rest of it. But I think the two most important things to deliver on for him: one, the border. And we saw, as I expected, crossings go down to zero, crash to zero. Now they'll trickle back up again because that's just the Trump effect. People are scared of what might happen if they come across. So you need to reinstitute the policies that worked in the first term. That might be part of what we're talking about, right, with the big tariff imbroglio that might be coming here with Mexico and Canada. And then you need to you need to have real increasing real wages again, which you didn't have during the Biden years and you had during the first 3 years of Trump. And I think that's the most important economic metric.
By the way, he's talking about tax cuts. I don't know what newspaper, Saturday morning, I'm a little short, but I saw an article. He is going back to talking tax cuts and spending cuts, by the way, which kind of goes with the tariffs, whatever one-off problems you're going to get with the tariffs. The tax cuts are going to cover it, plus more energy production and lower government spending. And, that's just a thought. I just want to get this off my chest. David Webb, I'm reading the papers this morning. It's all about, oh, my God, 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, which are designed, as Rich said, to shut the border as best we can and go after fentanyl and go after the cartels, who run the border. But all the papers can talk about, there's a Wall Street Journal, which is supposed to be a business-type paper, wrong. All they can talk about is the inflationary impact. Now, let me go back, David. Search your memory. When Joe Biden was spending $6 or $7 billion through deficits, and the Federal Reserve was printing the money supply at about a 35% rate, and the inflation rate went from 1.5 to 9 in about a year, how come they didn't mention inflation then? Now they're all mentioning inflation regarding tariffs, which is a flawed concept in my judgment because the exporters will pay most of it. But meanwhile, his other parts, supply-side tax cuts, deregulation, more energy production, less government spending, are all counterinflation. But where were they when Bidenflation soared? I scratching my head. Don't remember any of them covering that.
They were busy lying to the American people. And I just want to touch on something that you said a moment ago, because I just spent 3 days with the Congressional Institute. Larry, I went in and broadcast for 3 days, first time ever done, from their meeting in Trump Doral. I was able to talk to dozens of congressmen and women. I had them on the show. Dan Muser, you know him.
Yep.
Dan's a top-notch business guy. Tax cuts, jobs, pro-growth policies that you and I have talked about for years and more. And to get to that point of reconciliation, clean bills, the Trump tax cuts and more, they're working forward. They're doing the work while the media lies. And they will continue to lie about Biden. They will need to prop up his failed policies for some time. And while the DNC elects a new leader today, unless they take it to the streets, as Hakeem Jeffries, the soy boy from Brooklyn, said he wants to do, the fact is they don't have a way of with anything substantive.
We need can we get a tape cleaning on that one?
That's a mic drop right there.
I'm David Webb. You're too much. You're too much. What did Jeffries say? I saw something about him. Well, he's blaming everything on racism. What is he? Oh, no, he wants people to go into the streets and fight. He said that.
Right. He says, let's fight him legislatively in the courts and take it to the streets. Look, Hakeem Jeffries is an Al Sharpton wannabe who will ask you to go to the streets and never show up.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you who's gone to the streets. I probably shouldn't go into this, but up in the South Bronx, where my saintly wife's art studio and art school is, is a huge. It's actually being covered by Fox and New York Post. The authorities are trying to put 2,000 some odd illegals in an industrial building right across the street. 2,000 plus.
Rich, would you let me pick up on this one? I know it's your turn, brother, but let me have this one.
And my saintly wife. It's right across the street. She's terrified of it. Her school and all these other people. There was a community board meeting, and you had African Americans, Hispanics, and so forth. They all are against it. They're all against it. Go ahead, David.
And they are absolutely screwed, as the deputy mayor said, because it's not going to happen, or it's already a done deal. 2,200 illegal aliens being moved out of Randall Island's tent city, all males being moved into this neighborhood, a no-bid process. You're supposed to have a bid in for this. They spend another $450,000 of taxpayer dollars, those same black and brown people in the Bronx on Bruckner Boulevard or anywhere in the South Bronx or anywhere in New York City, to do all of this. And you know what else, Larry? The National Action Network, where Al Sharpton likes to show up at a Costco for DEI, his office at 145th is within minutes. He can get to this spot to protest on behalf of black people on Bruckner Boulevard in minutes, and he does it. They're all liars, cheaters, and thieves, and they don't care about black people, white people, whatever name or color condition they want to put on people.
I got to get out, but quick break. But somebody's got to protect my saintly wife. And by the way, they had big crowd protesting, as I said. People of all different colors do not want 2,200 illegals.
Happy to defer to David on anything related to the Bronx, because all I know about the Bronx is that's where Yankee Stadium is.
Right, that's
extent of my knowledge.
That's 161st Street or something like that. That's right. This community board meeting, I think, was 149th. And not Bruckner. What's the Grand Concourse? That's where it was. Yeah. Anyway, let me take a break. We're getting too much Bronx geography. On the other side of the break, media claims of racist deportations are bogus. Rich Lowry's column in the New York Post this morning, and lots more politics. I'm Kudlow. We'll be right back.
Larry Kudlow. From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
We're talking politics with the best of the best. Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of National Review magazine. David Webb, Fox News contributor and host of the Sirius XM talk show, David Webb Show. Rich Lowry, column in the Post today, media claims of racist deportations are bogus. Of course, they have to be racist if they don't like them. But you've got some pretty interesting numbers. Share with us, please.
Yeah, so you have a lot of the usual suspects, including Sunny Hostin, who's really outdone herself since the election. I mean, she's never been the sharpest tool in the shed, but she is complaining the other day that supposedly Donald Trump wants just a certain look of illegal criminal aliens, right? Because he's racist, so he wants them to look black and brown, and he's letting all these European and Asian illegal immigrants pass. So the first thing is 80% of illegal immigrants are from Latin America and the Caribbean. That's just a fact. So if you're doing it totally random, you are going to 80% of the people you're going to be picking up are going to be black and brown, right? That's not racist. It's just a fact. And then if you're focusing, and this isn't the sole focus, but it's an overwhelming one, on criminal aliens, you know, we got a lot of visa overstayers from Canada. That's bad. They should go home. I'd be happy deporting them as well. But these are students and tourists and whatnot. They're not going to be part of prison gangs, right? You know, there's no French-Canadian notorious gang that's breaking down doors in Aurora, Colorado in apartment complexes. So if you're focused on those people, you're also going to get a certain segment of folks, largely from Latin America. So this is, you know, what their position is. It's racist to stop people from coming across the border. It's racist to make them go. It's racist to have a border at all, and this is why they're losing.
What is it? I've seen polling, David Webb, 80% favor what Trump's doing regarding closing the border and deporting the illegals, particularly the criminals. I think it's 80%. How can Democrats be so stupid as to oppose a policy that is so utterly popular? How does that happen?
See my previous comment about lying, and when it comes to Sunny Hostin, look at her ratings. You understand why liberals have stopped watching her, like they have stopped watching MSNBC and CNN and others, and are coming over to every other outlet for a choice. Look, to use her logic, which is not really an applicable statement here, the fact is that these illegals don't check your nationality before they take you on, before they shove you into a subway, take over your apartment or otherwise.
Shoot you, bash you over the head, steal your money in your pocketbook. Everything.
Even murder your 12-year-old daughter, murder your sister, your college student. And they don't check party registration or ethnicity. So to look at it for Sunny Hostin, hey, Sunny, why don't you go talk to the illegal aliens and ask them if they're racist or not racist? She won't do that. I'm using hyperbole and a bit of sarcasm, a healthy dose, to point out how idiotic they are. Americans care about not being attacked, being able to walk to the grocery store, or if you're in the Bronx, to the bodega. If you're anywhere in America, be safe, because they're all over the country. And the Biden administration did this, and you made the point about them not telling or reporting earlier. They didn't report on the hundreds of thousands being sent to states in night flights.
Never did.
That were being balkanized into communities.
They tried
that were also taking black and brown people as their primary victims.
They tried to cover it up. Before we lose you guys, you're really great, by the way. Rich Lowry, I'm still having trouble swallowing Tulsi Gabbard. I think I worked my way through RFK Jr., mostly because I believe Donald Trump is going to run HHS, and he's got good lieutenants in there. Very good. Some of these doctors are going to run NIH and Federal Drug Administration. Still having trouble with Tulsi, Rich.
Yeah, I'm not a Kennedy fan myself. I just oppose all Kennedys on principle, but I think that pick's really important to Trump, because this is a guy who materially increased Trump's vote share. We can argue about how much it was, but there's no doubt that he did. And there's what is Maha? You know, who's the second most prominent leader in Maha that you'd slot in if Kennedy goes down. There is none. So I think he had some rough moments in those hearings, but I kind of think he gets confirmed. Tulsi is a tougher proposition. Look, she's a major political talent and a great communicator. She didn't blink once in that hearing when she was under a lot of pressure. And her opening statement got to why Trump nominated her. Right? She highlighted all these intelligence abuses over the years, but after that, I think it was pretty tough sledding, and there are a number of members that could take her down in that committee, and she can just lose. She can't lose anyone, right? And Susan Collins, you got to look at Todd Young, you got to look at maybe some others, but I think it's if Trump really is adamant about getting her, one way or the other, he'll get her. If it's a little bit like he was with Pete, let me see you fight for it yourself, and then I'll back you, which sometimes is his attitude. Maybe she could go down.
It's important. In many ways, with some of these, RFK and Tulsi in particular, if Trump wants them, he gets them. Okay, if he won the election. Anyway, thank you all. Rich Lowry and David Webb. Fantastic stuff. Folks, we'll take a break. And John Carney at Breitbart on the other side, we're going to talk about tariffs.
Here's John Katsimatidis Jr.
Are you paying too much for your home or business heating oil? My family owns and operates United Metro Energy, and we can offer you a lower price and better service right now. No other heating oil company can match our tremendous buying power. We own our own refinery, our own storage tanks, and the largest fleet of company-owned trucks.
We get a 20-cent a gallon tax credit with United Metro Energy's biofuel.
We're a community-conscious, family-run business.
We're here for you 24/7.
Contact me anytime.
Email john@umecny.com. It's Ocean Drive in Coney Island.
Ocean Drive is the only luxury rentals in New York with a spectacular ocean view. You wake up in the morning and breathe that ocean air. I'll certify that you're going to live 10 years longer. When I became successful, I wanted to live on the ocean. If you have worked hard, you deserve an apartment on Ocean Drive too. Go to oceandrivenyc.com and reward yourself.
If you're a policeman, fireman, doctor, nurse, or teacher, you qualify for a limited time offer at oceandrivenyc.com. Terms and conditions apply.